And a pleasant good afternoon, one and all. Here we are yet again. It is a great afternoon. My name is Dexter Springer. I am a library assistant, one attached to the Arima Public Library of the Nalis Public Libraries Division, and I am your host for the afternoon. We are on day 6 of 15 days of the Virago Warrior Woman series. We are here featuring our author of the month, Mrs. Michelle Borrell, and she is the creator and editor of the new book coming soon, dropping on the 21st, releasing on the 25th, entitled Virago Warrior Woman, the Butterfly Edition. So you will not want to miss this launch. Be there. It's at Trinity Mall on the 21st, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. So we have today, and afterwards we have 10 more days. I am looking forward to each day with bated breath, where we speak with a Virago woman each afternoon who is a contributing author to this book, The Butterfly Edition. And for all those who have been asking, in case you missed it, what does Virago mean? It means a woman of great stature, strength, and courage. Simple words, but powerful meaning behind them. All right. So in the book itself, these women share their experiences and lessons, encouraging all who would read it to stand in their authenticity and awaken their inner warrior, which gives you the courage to go on. All right. So you can see more about Virago Women on the Instagram handles and Facebook pages, Virago_global. That's Virago, Virago_global. Go there and see more. And as we get ready to meet another Virago woman this afternoon, we are about to be fed. All right. So this Virago woman was born in the UK and migrated to Trinidad and Tobago in the mid-1970s with her family. After completing her education in both countries, she returned to Trinidad in 1996 to establish her own company, Regency Recruitment and Resources Limited. Over the past 25 years, she has led the firm in sourcing a wide range of employment opportunities for hundreds of locals, creating and facilitating business training workshops, partnering with leading local and multinational firms to provide outplacement support for retrenchment workers and counseling many employers in human resources and industrial relations issues. She completed her MBA in 2008 and continues her education with professional certificates in labor law, behavioral economics, contract law, and mediation. She is an accomplished networker, having served in leadership roles in both the private and public sectors, and is regularly called upon to share insights into the power of and skills required for effective networking. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone under the sound of my voice and the view of my face, I present to you none other than Miss Lara Quentrall-Thomas.
Hello, good afternoon, Dexter. Thank you for that. Wow.
You are most welcome. The pleasure is ours to meet you, to see the face behind the chapter in Virago, the Butterfly Edition, that will be yours. So, first thing I would like to ask you, normally you would hear people moving out of Trinidad and going somewhere else in the world. But here you are coming from the UK with your family to migrating, I should say, from the UK to Trinidad. What would have influenced the family's decision to come to Trinidad in those early years?
Well, thank you again for having me on your show, and thanks to Nalis for the wonderful support that we're getting. So my father was a civil engineer, and I'm sure you're all familiar with expatriates who move around the world and go and do different projects. So he worked for a firm that was building a school in San Fernando, and he was offered a 2-year contract. So the family dutifully followed him from England. We'd never even really heard of Trinidad. This is before the internet. You couldn't Google it and find out. We just sort of knew it was in the Caribbean, and so that was fine. So we came here. I was 8. My sister was 6. And he built the school in San Fernando. And then after the contract was finished, his firm offered him another job in the Middle East, in Iran to be exact. And we had lived there very briefly before coming to Trinidad. And at the time, Iran was quite unstable with the Islamic Revolution. There was a lot going on. So my father decided, no, we didn't want to go there. And he also did not want to go back to England. So he stayed. And from then on, since to now, my father has lived in Trinidad. He passed away in December of 2019.
Wow.
Here.
Okay.
But he basically became a Trini in so many ways. So my whole life really was a combination of either school in Trinidad and holidays in England with my family, or school in England and then coming back here for holidays. And when I was 26, I came back for a holiday with some friends and just was having some conversations. I was working in London in recruitment, and people said, you know, there might be an opportunity for you to start your own business. My dad was totally for the idea. I didn't really think much of it, but I said, okay, I'll give it a try. We'll give it 5 years and then see. And that was 25 years ago, and I'm still here.
Well, yeah.
So when that gets under your skin, it really is in the beginning, you know, you're like, well, I don't know. But after a while, something in your blood switches. And, you know, now when I leave Trinidad, I miss it terribly. So for all intents and purposes, I am now a Trini.
So you love it. So you love being in Trinidad. You love Trinidad.
I do. Trinidad is, you know, Trinidad is a complicated place because it's like, you know, when you say you're in a relationship, it's complicated.
Yes.
Because you do really have this love-hate. I love the people. I love the food. I love the culture, the music, the climate, the beaches, the birds, and, you know, it's a beautiful place to live. Yeah. But I hate the corruption, the politics, the potholes, the bureaucracy, you know. So a big part of my experience here in Trinidad and why I'm on so many boards and involved in so many things is because I really feel like I should be part of the solution and try and fix things where I can. Because, you know, unlike many people, I could leave tomorrow if I decided to. If I got fed up, I can go and live in England anytime. But I've chosen Trinidad as my home, and I love it here, and I want to be part of making it better, you know, and helping it realize its potential in whatever small way I can.
You just answered about 3, 4, or 5 of that one paragraph.
So it's the end of the interview then. That was quick.
But let's see if we could unpack some of what you just said. Sure. All right. So let me ask this then. Was there any point, based on what you just said, you know, you spoke about all the things you love, especially the food. I mean, who don't love roti? Who don't love pilau?
Oh my God, it's terrible. This is why I have 6 chins on the cover of the book. You know, it's just, I can't. I was telling Michelle, I can't bear how many chins I have, but that's roti and
don't worry, we will get Laurie to help with the 6 chins. Laurie has a skill to disappear, to make some of those chins disappear. All right. But you know, apart from the things you love, you mentioned some of the things you hate, and I could hear the passion on both sides. The things you love and then the things you hate. Is there anything or is there any point in time where you were like, I had enough, I want to go back to England? Is there any point you felt like that?
No, I don't think so. I'm a pretty optimistic person, and I'm also somebody who is incredibly grateful for the opportunities I've been given, the life that I live. So you know, I've never at any point, I mean, maybe maybe there, you know, remember where there was a time there were loads of kidnappings?
Yes.
And, you know, it kind of felt like maybe it would be a bit unsafe. But even then, it never really crossed my mind to leave. It was more about, okay, well, you know, you've got to adjust your lifestyle to accommodate. But, you know, I don't know if you can see behind me, I'm in my home, but I have no burglar bars.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm lucky I live in a gated street that has a gate on it. It's not a gated community per se, and it's a dead end. But when we moved in, it was like, oh God, we've got to put bars on all the windows. And I said, no, I don't. That's the one thing I find, you know, the criminals are moving around and the people are living like prisoners in their own homes. And that really is upsetting. And so, you know, there are some things that you adapt, you accommodate, but there are other things where I've sort of said, you know, I'd like to take a stand and try and push back a little bit.
Okay.
And so, for example, one of the reasons I was so thrilled to be on the procurement regulation board was to be part of that whole, you know, what should have been a revolution in how we spend public money.
Okay. All right.
You know?
So you wouldn't say that you, even in the midst of all that you were seeing, you don't live in any sort of fear while being here, nothing living in any fear like, oh my gosh, you're looking over your shoulder, supposed to come for me, I'm a successful business person, maybe they might take my material. You never felt like that?
No, honestly, no. I mean, I don't have any children for a start, so that's one, I guess, one small caveat. And also, you know, I was telling somebody the other day that I'm too fat to kidnap. Nobody could lift me up and put me in a van. No way. Too much roti and cake.
Well,
So, as a strategy, you know, being overweight is a good strategy because it would take about 10 fellas to lift me up and put me in a van. So they could try.
I sure you just encourage a whole lot of people there.
I know we're supposed to not be supposed to be talking about healthy lifestyles, aren't we? But
yeah,
no, I mean, in all seriousness, you know, I always tell people where I am. You know, I live alone. I have no husband, no children, and so it's just my cat and I.
All right.
And so, you know, when I'm out, I will always text people and let them know when I'm home. My neighbors, a couple of my colleagues have got keys to my house, so I don't feel alone. I love living on my own, but
yes,
I make sure people know where I am, what I'm doing, so that if there isn't ever an issue. But in all the time I've been here, really the only thing that's ever horribly happened, I mean, we had an incident years ago in South, but is somebody tried to break into my car in a high-low car park and just mashed up the door handle. But so I'm incredibly lucky, really.
Okay, thank God. Yeah.
Maybe it's time. I don't know, but I don't want to blight it. But yeah, no, I do generally feel, and maybe because I'm quite visible, I feel like if they kidnap me, you know, people would know. I don't know. I just talk them to death, probably. I just feel like, I mean, I know I'm being facetious, and I don't mean to.
Naturally have safety mechanism.
Not be serious about the issue because it's a really horrible thing, obviously. But I feel like it would be like you wouldn't kidnap somebody that would just be, I don't know, all over Facebook in a minute, and everybody. I don't know.
Well, I guess as you say, we just thank God that it has never happened, and let's continue to pray that it stays that way, right?
Yes.
So, but one thing I want to ask you though, you know, even when we were going through a little about you in your bio, and it mentioned that you completed your education in both countries. What was that like?
Well, you know, of course, because we have the British system here, or we inherited the British system. I was incredibly lucky to get into Arima Girls High School, which was an amazing education experience. I was there up to O levels, and then I went to a boarding school in England to do my A levels, and then university in England to do my degree. And so, in many ways, you know, apart from the fact that I went from being the only white girl in my class in NAPS to being one of, you know, thousands of white girls in England, the actual education itself was very similar. The passion and the dedication of the teachers was very similar. So it was not actually that hard to transition. I mean, I did miss, you know, the lunches in England are very different from the lunches in Trinidad. So, you know, that was a little hard. But, and I mean, going to university, and I went to all girls' schools pretty much all my life. So going to a girls' boarding school was very similar. It was really university that kind of opened my eyes. And, you know, sort of meeting people from all over the world was quite a new experience. So, but the actual academics, very similar, very, very similar.
So you wouldn't, while in Trinidad, you wouldn't feel like you fell behind, because, you know, sometimes there's a disparity in the education system. Some children will leave Trinidad and go to other countries, and they will be way ahead. Was it anything like that with you, or is it?
I would say it was probably about level. In fact, I actually did better when I was studying here than when I was studying in England, because in England there were a lot of distractions. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay. All right.
I actually had to resit my A levels. I failed 2 out of my 3 A levels in England, whereas I got all ones in my O levels here at NAPS. So
okay, you're more focused.
More focused.
Well, I just want to take the time to say a special good afternoon to Miss Mikila Pandey. We have her on the inside with us this afternoon. And of course, people, we will have the opportunity to speak with her later on in the series of the Virago Warrior Woman. All right. So as we continue this afternoon with you, Lara, I recognize that you seem to have a heart for human resources and the economic well-being. Tell us a little bit about your story behind the story behind your passion for human resource, and I mean, you would have mentioned it earlier when you were speaking about making a difference in terms of that. Tell us about your passion behind human resources and networking and economic well-being and stuff like that. What started it? Where did it begin?
Okay, well, actually, interestingly enough, I did a degree in tourism management and really had plans to have a career in tourism. Very much intending to come back to the Caribbean after I finished college and work in tourism. But I was in a relationship when I finished college, and he was a year behind me at university. So I stayed another year to be finished. And I had a tourism degree, so I worked in a hotel in Bristol. And then when he graduated, we decided to go to London and look for work. And there just wasn't really very much in the tourism sector. So I went into an employment agency to find work in a hotel, and they didn't have much. And the girl said, but we are looking for a trainee recruitment consultant. Would you be interested? And I said, sure. And, I needed to pay my rent. And so I took the job as a trainee recruitment consultant, not knowing anything about it. It really was a sort of a sales job in many ways, but it was really about people skills and communication and being very confident in reaching out to companies, because it's a very competitive market in London. Okay. And so that began my journey, and I just had a knack for it. And so stayed in recruitment in London. That would have been 91 till about 95, and then came to Trinidad in 96 to start Regency. So really started Regency when I was only 26 years old.
Wow.
25 years ago now, yeah. With only a few years of experience in London under my belt, but great passion for it, because one of the things I recognize is when you find somebody a job, you actively change their life.
Yes.
So it is not, okay, so yes, I'm helping you, and maybe I'm giving you a food hamper, or because I'm in Rotary, so we do a lot of giving of food and tablets and all of these sorts of things. But when you actually give somebody a job, or help them find a job where they can contribute to their own well-being and financial sustainability and career development, as well as paying their bills and feeding their kids and all the rest of it, it's life-changing. And so for me, yes, Regency is a business, and we're obviously out to make a profit, but there's a really a much higher purpose in connecting people with opportunities. And that's what our tagline is: connecting talent with opportunities, because people aren't always going to be hearing about every single job that's out there or in the right place at the right time, and we can be that conduit. And very often our jobs are short-term, temporary, but we put you in an organization that maybe you didn't think you could ever work for or have access to. And often we see that because people thrive and they do well in a temporary assignment, it leads to permanent employment or a long-term contract. And just having that, so on the one hand, it's yes, having regular money and revenue, having an income, but it's more than that. It's about working in a job where you learn new skills, you meet new people, maybe have opportunities to do projects or to travel. And many people are still in the companies that I placed them in 20 years ago, and they've now gone through the ranks and had so many wonderful experiences. And so our purpose is really about that, finding opportunities for people that I believe can be life-changing. Right. And the reason that I networked was because I had to grow my business, right, to find more opportunities, to get more candidates. And as I was saying to somebody recently, I began my networking at Pelican. I mean, you might be a bit too young to remember, but Pelican was the place to network.
Was that in St. Augustine?
In St. Anne's. No, right here in Port of Spain, Cascade.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm mixing up the different Pelicans then.
Yeah, no. Well, there's really only one proper original Pelican, right? And some of your older viewers will remember it. But it was just the most incredible place to meet people, and it was everybody there, from prostitutes to politicians and everybody in between. And And of course, I was also looking for job seekers, right? I was looking for candidates as well as clients.
Right.
And everybody knows somebody whose cousin's brother's gardener's nephew is looking for a job. So, it was so easy. It was easy. I mean, I had to work it, but to meet people and let people know that I was setting up this business. And so networking, through Pelican and then through various business associations, through Rotary, really became the way that I grew the business, because I didn't have enough money to buy a set of billboards or print fancy brochures.
Okay.
And really, you're selling yourself, right? You want people to buy from you and trust you, because then it was only me.
Yeah.
And so I was the brand, and I had to get people to trust me and give me their business. And gratefully they did. They very much, I mean, I got rejected by some, but most people were willing to take a chance. So yeah, that networking went hand in hand with growing the business, and then of course giving back to Trinidad out of gratitude for everything it's given me.
Wow. So did it change your method? Did your methods have to change over the period of time given, as time progressed, as times change, technology came in, how was it in terms of having to change your methods?
Well, I mean, of course, we're doing a lot on LinkedIn now, and there's virtual networking. It's not really the same, but it is an effective way to, to actually network and to build your brand online. I was very email hesitant to begin with. I really do believe in personal connections and meeting people face to face, and especially in the beginning of a relationship where you're trying to make that connection with a potential customer. Even interviewing candidates, we're doing all our interviews virtually. It's nice that you don't have to sit in traffic for 2 hours, but I don't know that we get that real personal connection that we would have done in, face to face. So I love the technology, don't get me wrong, but I do think we have to not forget the human side.
It has taken away a bit of the humanity in us. It has. We would admit, it has.
Absolutely. And for networking, it's so important that you really build relationships. And part of that is actually being in a room or having a cup of coffee together and seeing body language and see, because I mean, I can only see you from the neck up. So I have I mean, you may be in your pajamas, I don't know, but being able to read body language is a really important way of knowing whether you've connected with somebody. You get the vibe off of them, the energy in the room energizes you. It's hard to do that if you're just on your own at home.
Yes, that is true. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, one more question I would ask in this region. Your heartfelt thoughts on the current economic status, especially given the pandemic. What you're seeing now, tell us, how does it affect you? What are your thoughts towards it? What you probably might have plans, what you want to do, how you feel about it?
Well, I'm sure there are some things that I probably shouldn't say live on air.
I trust you. We trust you. We trust you.
No. I have some pretty strong views about vaccination and vaccine. But just from our point of view, last year was pretty terrible. Obviously, 2020 was really tight. We were lucky because a lot of my clients work in essential services, ICT, oil and gas. So a lot of our clients didn't have to cut staff, which meant that we had a lot of our contractors were able to keep their contracts. So that sort of helped. We did have some hours reduced, some wages reduced, but we didn't have too many people actually lose their jobs entirely. This year, since about April, May, it's really started to pick back up. In fact, we just had our managers meeting this morning, and just last week, we got 19 new vacancies in just last week alone.
Okay.
So there's really a lot of work out there. The challenge is now that there's so many job seekers.
Okay.
So employers are really now, it's an employer's market now.
Okay.
So they can be a lot more discerning in terms of, really honing out. I mean, we put an ad in for a job about a month ago and received over 1,000 applications. Typically, we might get 20, 25.
Okay.
So it makes it harder to weed out who's suitable for what jobs and for the clients. But the clients are also being a lot more fussy because they can. But there are jobs out there. I mean, I really want to put that out there for people. There are jobs. It's slowly coming back. There's, it's hard to know what the economy is going to do, especially with what's happening in the oil and gas sector, coming out of COP26, the whole very late, but the realization that we have to switch away from fossil fuels and start to move into renewable energy as a country, where that's going to take us, what opportunities that may present for entrepreneurs and for business owners and so on. I think, I'm sad that Trinidad hasn't done this sooner. We've talked about diversifying since I got here, and it always seems to me that we only make these decisions when we're literally on the edge of the cliff. Yeah. Like digitalizing our business, our public sector. It took a pandemic
to do that, yes.
To really, we've been talking about it for a long time. The rest of the world's doing it, but we needed a pandemic to push us to do what we should have done, 10 years ago. So I feel I'm not optimistic from the sense that I think there are sectors of the market that are still going to struggle. We've seen the tourism sector, the creative sector. We know, with a lot of these spaces are still closed, and it's going to be closed for the foreseeable future. I am in favor of vaccine mandates. So putting that out there, because we cannot, everybody wants the beaches open and play carnival. And the only way we can do that is if we get vaccinated. The only way through this. So some sectors are going to continue to struggle until we get to that 80% vaccinated or 90%.
Okay.
But in other sectors, I think there's definite opportunity. So if you're unemployed, now's the time to be networking virtually online, hooking up with recruitment agencies, going to job boards, even the Ministry of Labour, ministries. I mean, there's something like, I think it was, I heard Ministry of Agriculture has 300 vacancies. Ministry of Labour has 800 vacancies. I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to fill all of them because there's obviously budget constraints, but there are so many vacancies in the public sector.
Okay.
And then the private sector, where we generally operate, we typically don't recruit for government. Again, there's lots of jobs, but really you have to just be. So now's a great time to brush up your skills, make sure your resume is really good, because the market seems to be opening a little bit more.
Okay, good. Well, we surely heard your heart on that. So I believe that you will continue to make a difference as much as you could.
I will try, yes.
Behind this, and we see we have Devika Ali here saying you are excellent.
Oh, thank you, Devika.
Joining us. All right, so we want to move in a little bit as we're going long in time now. So we want to move in a little bit to your contribution to Virago, the Butterfly Edition. Tell us what it was like when you met Michelle, and then she asked you to contribute to this masterpiece that is Virago. Tell us about that.
She's one of those people that is very hard to say no to. She's very persuasive, and actually, I immediately loved the idea. I've thought about writing a book for a long time, but just never sort of got around to doing it. And so the idea of contributing a chapter really appealed to me because it's not the whole thing, and I can just do one piece of it. And I loved the composition, all the different women she brought together. It was such a nice mix of different backgrounds and experiences. So it feels very true to who we are as women of Trinidad and Tobago, that diversity of experiences and stories and so on. And she and her team were super helpful. I mean, the editing support, and she constantly had to remind me timing and don't forget this. And so she was really good, really patient with me, which I appreciate because it's my first time working on a book or collaborating on a book. And it's been amazing. It really has been a wonderful experience from start to finish. I hope my chapter's useful. I hope it makes a difference to the people who read it. But I think the whole thing is just going to be a really, truly lovely book to take sort of snippets of inspiration from, because every chapter is so different, but there are common threads, about, as you said earlier, being authentic and finding your purpose and your passion and really living your life despite what obstacles and challenges you may face, but trying to, at the end of the day, look back with satisfaction on a life well lived, that you made a difference in other people's lives.
Okay, what little hints you will give the viewers in terms of what we can expect to receive or to find when we would open your chapter? That's not too much. That's a little
Yeah,
taste.
yeah. We want to make sure they buy the book. So,
Yes.
so my chapter is called "If You're Not at the Table, You're Probably on the Menu."
Wow.
And yeah, I can't remember what I heard that years ago, and it really resonated with me. And essentially, it means that you have to be networking if you want to be part of the change that we need to see in Trinidad and Tobago, whether
Okay.
it's at a community level, whether it's at a business or an industry level, or whether it's at a national level. You know, I see on Facebook all the time people complaining and moaning, and you know, but it takes it. We really have to stop just complaining and actually step up and say, okay, I'm willing to be part of the solution. You know, I mean, like the guy who fixed his own potholes, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to the guy who takes a video of himself swimming in his pothole. You know,
Wow.
it's those two extremes, and they're funny swimming in your own pothole, but it's not fixing the problem. So the chapter's really sharing some ideas, my own experiences, but also some techniques for ways that you can get involved. Some of the different networks I recommend that you think about joining. It's great for young entrepreneurs, young businesses, and not necessarily young people, but young businesses. But just generally, you know, Trinidad and Tobago has so much potential, right? We have the resources of the people and our creativity and I mean, the money's gone. Let's face it, we don't have any money left. But you know, we do have a lot of natural resources, and so it really, I hope, encourages people to think about being part of how we can harness those resources to the betterment of all of us.
Right. That's awesome. I am realizing more and more how diverse this book is going to be. People, don't miss the opportunity to get this book when it
Yeah.
drops. And I know there are some eager entrepreneurs out there who would want to see more of what you are saying inside of the Butterfly edition. So, well, my final question would just be for you, if you want, if there's firstly, who you would personally like to thank for supporting you through the years, through Tech Hunting from day one, and who will be supporting you even through your writing of this book. And then also, I know there would be some sponsors you would want to say thank you to, who would have contributed and made it possible for Virago to be produced. So I will allow you to go ahead
So,
and just.
a big up, a big up. So, well, of course, I have to say thanks to my family, my parents, and my sister, who've always been my greatest cheerleaders. You know, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner can be very lonely. You're always expected to
Yes.
motivate everybody else, but not, you don't always get that feedback that you're doing a great job. And my family's always been my greatest cheerleaders, and my dad really instilled in my sister and I both the entrepreneurial spirit, but also that philanthropic spirit. So since I know myself, my father and my mother were involved in charity work and raising funds for different causes. And so it's just been a lifestyle for us. And I'm so glad that I'm able to carry that on. So, and also to my friends here in Trinidad and around the world, but Trinidad really, who have totally embraced me and allowed me to be myself and realize my potential. In fact, my friends now come to me when they need contacts, because
Oh,
now I've got the network that, that I needed them
yeah,
to in the
yeah.
beginning.
Well,
Um,
that's why they call it the network guru.
that's right. Yeah, apparently. Yeah. So I know somebody who knows somebody, right? That's how you work.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how it works. And I think, yeah, it's very important to thank our sponsors, without whom this book would never have happened, and all of the different PR and stuff that we've been doing. And the sponsors are KFC, Extra Foods, Nexus Advertising, Trinity Mall, and Medical Associates. And so, on behalf of all the Virago women and our different editors and contributors, thank you to those sponsors. We really appreciate them. And of course, we'll be at Trinity Mall very soon launching the book.
Yes, yes. So we look forward to that.
Exciting, yeah, very exciting. And thanks to everybody for the support. And I hope you buy the book, and I hope all of the chapters touch you and inspire you in a different way, and really make you think about how you can, you know, take your business forward, but also enjoy life a little bit more and make a bit of a positive difference.
Lara, we would like to thank you so much. I'm thanking you on behalf of everyone who is watching this and you have
Thank you.
deposited something into their mind to think about, to chew on and swallow whole. All right. So we see Michaela Pandey saying, great interview. Trisha Lane is saying it was a very empowering talk.
Thank
Devika
you.
again. Well, Devika, we'll have to hold out a little bit before you hear the price of the book.
Yeah.
Holding out a little bit on that. Just prepare your pocket. All right. I'm sure it's going to be affordable, but we're not dropping the price just yet before the launch. All right.
It's gonna be a great gift for Christmas.
Yes.
Give to women in your life, you know, people that you admire and inspire. So yeah, it's gonna be a lovely Christmas gift.
And if you have seen the artwork is awesome. The cover of the book, the artwork is super.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book.
All right, so prepare your pocket to buy this awesome piece of artwork. You just saw it there on the screen, Virago Butterfly Edition. You don't want to miss this. This year, 2021, is your year to get your own copy of this book, Voices of 15 Women of Influence. You don't want to miss that. You're going to hear the voices here, yes, over the next few days, but you want to get the fullness of what they're saying when you buy your own personal copy. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of day 6 of our Virago Warrior Woman series. It has been a pleasure, Lara, once again. Nalis would like to thank you tremendously for coming on with us as we continue to showcase this artwork. And we thank you for your contribution. And as I said before, many of those who are looking on are saying thank you for your time and your powerful, empowering talks. All right.
No problem. Thank you, Dexter. Thank you, Nalis. And everybody listening and watching, thank you for the support. Go and buy the book.
Nice.